Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga. We are reading text 13 and 14. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan achalam stiraha sampreksha nasi kagram swam dishas chanavalokayan prashantatma vikatabhir brahmachari vrite sthitaha mana samyamya makchito yukta asita matparaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an agitated, unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So Krishna has been speaking to Arjuna the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. He's telling him how. First he said, you go alone to the forest. You have to go alone there. And then you have to choose a seat, neither up nor down. You have to control your mind and senses. And then he's showing him the asana. What's the asana? You hold your body erect, neck, body erect, straight line. You stare at the tip of the nose. Then unagitated, subdued mind means you calm your mind. Don't be fearful, completely free from sex life, and meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So we can see that the yogis, it's not that they are meditating on nothing or some void or some light. No, they are meditating on Krishna within the heart. They are meditating on the super soul within the heart. And they make him the ultimate goal of his life. This is the real Ashtanga Yogi. The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. So this is the goal of life. The goal of life is to know Krishna. This is what we need to understand. We have this human form of life. What is our goal of life? To know Krishna. Why? Because we have love for God. Each and every living entity has it. We just have forgotten it. We need to revive it. We have to revive it. So Krishna, he's situated in our heart as Paramatma, four-handed form. Paramatma has four-handed Vishnu form. So we might say, oh, I don't know how Paramatma looks. Oh, Paramatma looks. He has a Vishnu form. He has four hands. He has helmet. He has a chakra, conch, gada. What's that? Lotus flower, a conch shell, and then mace and a chakra. And Vishnu form, he's wearing yellow garments. He has this nice garland, and he has a nice crown, a helmet, golden helmet. So the yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu and not for any other purpose. So the yoga, the goal of yoga is to see the Paramatma in the heart, not for any other purpose. This is the perfection of yoga, when one is able to see the Paramatma sitting in our heart. And who's the Paramatma? That's Lord Krishna. So the localized Vishnu Murti is the plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. The Paramatma, how does he look like? He has a four-armed Vishnu form. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in walk yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. So a true yogi, what he wants to do, he wants to realize the Vishnu Murti in his heart. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in one's heart is the object of yoga practice. So the object of yoga practice is the Supreme Lord, the Paramatma sitting in our heart, the Vishnu Murti. It's not that Paramatma has no form. He has a form. He has a four-armed Vishnu form. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete absistence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place. remaining seated as mentioned above. So the goal of yoga is to realize the Vishnu form in our heart, the Paramatma in our heart who has a four-armed Vishnu form. And how to realize this? That is, if we are doing the yoga practice, go to the forest, live alone, get a proper seat, completely free from sex life, control the mind and senses, and fix the mind on the super soul. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is the chief. In the rules of celibacy written by the great sage Yajnavalkya, it is said, Karmana manasa vacha sarvavastha susarvada sarvatra maithuna tyago brahmacharyam prachakshate. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. So that is brahmachari training. Brahmachari training is to help one to completely give up sex life, whether in words, whether in the mind, or in action, anywhere, at any time. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught therefore from childhood when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukul or the place of the spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. So this was in the Vedic system where the child, 5 years old, would be sent to the Gurukul under the guidance of the spiritual master. He is given the strict training of brahmachari. Why? So that he can control his mind and senses and realize the Supreme Lord. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyan, gyan, or bhakti. So without the control of the mind, without the control of the sex indulgence, no one can make advancement in any of the yoga practice. It could be dhyan yoga, gyan yoga, or bhakti yoga. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under the regulation, is also called a brahmachari. So a grihast, it can also be a brahmachari. A grihast is also a brahmachari if he's following the rules and regulations of sex life. If he's following the rules and regulations, then even the grihast is a brahmachari. Such a restrained householder brahmachari may be accepted in the bhakti school, but the Gyan and Dhyan schools do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is allowed controlled sex life because the cult of bhakti yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. So if one wants to practice the process of Gyan or Dhyan, they have to be brahmacharis. They cannot be married. They cannot be in the grihast ashram. But if a grihast wants to get perfection of life, he can follow bhakti. Why? Because bhakti is so powerful. He will automatically give up his attraction to sex. Bhakti, it's very powerful, attractive. She attracts Krishna himself. In the Bhagavad Gita 259, it is said, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasa varjam raso api asya param drishtva nivartate. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification, a devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than the devotee, no one has any information of the superior taste. So a devotee automatically restrains his senses. Why? Because his senses are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. He does not have to artificially control the senses. So he's engaged his senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, and he's experiencing so much bliss, so much taste, that he does not need to engage in sense gratification. And other than the devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. So unless one engages in service of the Lord. One cannot understand, one cannot experience this taste. It's like when we want to taste the pudding, we have to eat it. Only if we eat the pudding, we'll be able to taste it. So if we want to have the superior taste, we have to engage in devotional service. Then we can taste it. You know, it's like that. Vigata bhi, one cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. So liberated life is fearless life. Fearless life. Why? Because the soul is perfectly situated. He perfectly understands his relationship with Krishna. So he has no fear. And we are fearful. Why? Because we've forgotten our relationship with Krishna. We have forgotten. And so we are fearful. Fearful. So the Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, Text 37 says, Bhayam dvitiya niveshataha syad ishad apetasya viparyayo smritihi. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. So if we really want to become fearless, we need to take up this process of Krishna consciousnness, which begins by hearing and chanting. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. Since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. So the goal of yoga is not nothing. The goal of yoga is to see the Paramatma in the heart, to see the Paramatma in the heart. That is the goal of yoga, the Dhyan Yoga. That is the ultimate goal. So a Krishna conscious person is already the best of yogis. Why? Because he's already seen the Lord. He's already with the Lord. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so-called yoga societies. So what Krishna is telling us here is the proper way to perform yoga. This is the goal of yoga, not that we make up something and call it yoga. Then those are made up things. Then that's not yoga. Krishna is saying this is yoga. And so we can see it's so difficult to go to the forest and meditate and live alone. So all these, and the goal is to realize the Supreme Lord in the heart. So to realize the Supreme Lord in the heart, we can easily do that by hearing and chanting. And that's the reason the process given to us in this age is to hear and chant. Hear and chant, and we'll be able to see the Lord in the heart. So we'll stop here for today. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.